Hey, how's it going, everyone? Good morning. Hope everybody is doing fantastic. Let me know if the audio, the video, all that stuff is clear, and I'll get today's session starting shortly. And feel free to introduce yourself in the comments, folks. Let me know who you are, where you're tuning in from. I'm just checking on things at my end. I just want to make sure I'm able to see the comments and stuff like that. So it looks like I am live. Hope everybody's doing fantastic. Make sure you hit like. Make sure you share with your network. I'm going to be sharing 7 tips for you to stand out when you're applying to jobs online. All right. So welcome everyone to today's session. I'm just going to do a few shout outs here. We got Elham in the house. Good to have you here, Elham, as usual. Feel free to introduce yourself in the comments, folks. We got Jatin. Good to have you here, Jatin. Thanks so much for tuning in. We got Abhishek. Abhishek says video and audio is clear. Awesome. Thanks so much, Abhishek. Yeah, just wanted to confirm that, folks. I had some mic issues last week when I was doing this, so I hopefully I've dealt with that. I'm not using that same mic anymore. For some reason, it suddenly started giving me issues. But we got Kota in the house as well. Good to have you here, Kota. Thanks so much for tuning in. We got Bincy from Edmonton, Alberta. Good to have you here, Bincy. Thanks so much for tuning in. So great to have all you folks here, right? So keep the comments coming. So on today's session, I'm talking about 7 ways on how you can stand out in your approach when you're applying for job opportunities online, right? So for those of you tuning in for the first time, welcome. Thanks so much for tuning in. My name is Dean Kulaweera. So my experience is based on. So I've been working in the staffing industry for about 8+ years. Took a bit of a break from recruiting and staffing in the middle of my career. And where I got into more so on the sales side, but 8+ years experience in the staffing industry, primarily on the staffing agency side of the equation. So every week I come on here, every day pretty much I post some kind of job search content to help job seekers in their quest for employment. And all of my content, my videos, my posts, my articles, it's all based on my own experiences working in recruitment in staffing. And it's also based on my own experiences working, not working, but also my own experiences as a job seeker, right? So in the staffing industry, I recruited for a variety of different organizations who were clients for the agencies I was working at. So startups all the way up to large size multinational organizations, various industries from e-commerce, retail, what else? Banking, finance, insurance. So a whole variety of industries. So what I post on LinkedIn, what I share on LinkedIn is based on those experiences, right? So just a few more shout outs here. We got Anthony all the way from Kenya. Good to have you here, Anthony. Thanks so much for tuning in. We got Hinil tuning in. We got Mohammed. Ryan, good to see you here as always. Ryan from Toronto. We got Roy in the house. Roy says, thanks for another session. Hey, no worries, Roy. I appreciate having you here. And we got Ajay in the house as well. Ajay, good to see you here. It's been a while. Hope you're doing great and fantastic. So today's session, folks, again, I'm going to be speaking about 7 ways that you can stand out when you're applying for jobs online. And the reason why I was kind of, motivated to do this session is because this is one of the most frequent complaints that I hear from job seekers, right? In terms of the major frustrations people are facing in their job search. And real quick, before I get into that, I just wanted to share 2 upcoming events I'm speaking at, which are free this week. So the first one is with my friends at CanPR. So CanPR, for those of you who are new to Canada or new immigrants, you might be familiar with CanPR. It's an app that a lot of newcomers to Canada have been speaking about and downloading. So that event's going to be on this Saturday from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. I'm going to quickly share the Eventbrite link in the comments for those of you who want to tune into that event. So let me just quickly add that into the comments. Just bear with me, folks. I'll put that link in the comments. It's a free event, and I'm going to be speaking about how you can navigate your job search from start to finish successfully as someone new to the country. All right. So those of you watching who are newcomers to Canada, or maybe you want to move to Canada, it's going to be a great event. So I'm going to put that link in the comments. So you should see the link shortly. All right, so you should see the link in the comments there if you want more information about that event. So again, it's primarily for newcomers. So if you're a newcomer, feel free to join in that event. Happy to look forward to seeing you there. And I'm going to be sharing a lot of great information about that's pertinent to people who are new to the country and newcomers. Got another event I'm also speaking at. This one will be with an organization called Scholarship Track. This is more so for new graduates and students. So if you're a new graduate or you're a student, this might be an event that might interest you. I'll share the link in the comments for that one as well. So those of you folks that are students or new graduates, you can take advantage of that event as well. It's another free event. So let me just put that in the comments, and you can check out the details for that as well. All right. So the second event is more so for new graduates and students. All right, but these are free events, so you definitely want you to take advantage of that, and you'll have an opportunity to see me speak again if you find my tips and advice insightful. All right, so that's again for the new grads and the students. All right, so getting into today's session, folks, what I'm going to talk about is, again, the seven ways that you can stand out when you're applying for jobs online. So how I'm going to structure today's event, first, I'm going to share with you the 7 approaches that I have personally taken myself as a job seeker, right? So I'm not going to talk about things that I have not done myself. Like, these are all strategies that I have utilized myself. As someone who, basically as a job seeker, right? Whenever I was job seeking, I've experimented with and tried these various things that I'm going to be speaking about today. Now, one of those strategies I will be able to help you with personally, right? And I'm going to speak about at the end of the segment a course and a program that I created for those of you interested who can explore that strategy in a bit more detail, right? So look, I'm going to share the 7 strategies. If you want to leave at the point where I'm talking about my product here, I totally get that, I understand, but I wanted to let you know more about how I can personally help you. So do stick around, and I'm going to share more information about my course, my newly released course at the end of the segment, all right? So let me just share my screen. I'm going to get right into my PowerPoint, and feel free to keep the questions in the comments coming, folks. And I'll do my best to keep up with the questions, but I will get around to the questions definitely at the end of the segment, all right? So let me just share my screen. And if you folks can, if you folks can just confirm in the comments when you can see my screen, that would be fantastic. So just give me a heads up and let me know, and I'll continue with the presentation, all right? So just confirm in the comments, let me know if all of that is good and clear. I'll just give it a couple of seconds for all of you folks to confirm. So actually, I can see it on my phone, so it looks like we're all good. So I'm gonna push through with the presentation. All right. So 7 ways to stand out when applying to jobs online. Now, again, over the years, and I've been posting on LinkedIn, job search advice, job search content since 2016, and maybe some of you might be surprised to hear it, but it's the most common complaint I hear from so many job seekers, and I would assume probably includes yourself, folks, right? It's a great complaint that I hear, in that you're applying to jobs, but you're not getting any responses, or maybe you are getting responses, but nowhere near the kind of responses that you want to get in your applications, right? When you're applying for jobs. And in fact, around when it was last month where I actually did a LinkedIn poll right on LinkedIn, where 429 of you voted, right? 429 job seekers voted, and I gave a list of options in terms of the top challenges people face. And of the 429 of you who voted, 326 of you, that's 76%, said that no responses when you apply is the greatest challenge that you're facing in your job search. So first and foremost, folks, if you're experiencing this, don't feel bad. You're not alone. It doesn't mean that you're lacking in something. It doesn't mean that you're not good enough. It doesn't mean that you don't, your resume is not good enough, or you don't have the right skills, the right experience. That's not the problem, right? The problem is in terms of your approach, right? And that's what I'm going to touch on today, where I'm going to be sharing these 7 ways that you can stand out when applying to jobs online, right? Now, just a heads up, some of these might seem like very reasonable approaches. Some of them might seem, kind of okay, something you might or might not do. Some of these approaches might seem totally outrageous. You'd be like, Dean, no way, never I'm going to even try that strategy out. Which is fine, but I just wanted to present you with things that I have personally tried out, things that I've seen other people try out, being a recruiter and interacting with job seekers. So I just want to give you folks the full spread of strategies that people are actually carrying out and using in their job search, right? So keep an open mind, stay with me on this presentation, and then at the end, I'm going to share more information about the one strategy that I've created an entire course around. And I'm going to be offering you a very special pricing and a very special deal That's going to make perfect sense for those of you who see value in that approach. All right. But of course, it's up to you to decide, folks, if you want to move ahead with it or not. All right. My task is to share with you how I can help you further on. All right. So let's get right into the presentation. Again, let's share some quick numbers, all right, about what's happening when you're applying for these opportunities online. Right, that's the first thing. What exactly is happening that's preventing you from getting the results you want when you're applying for job opportunities online? So first and foremost, on average, there are 250 applications per job posting. Right now, this number in particular is based on numbers prior to COVID-19. Right, this was the average. Like if we talk about before the pandemic, before this whole thing hit. In terms of, what were the average applications for every job posting, it's 250. Now, right now, during the midst of the pandemic, it's very possible that average might have gone, might be much more than that, right? By the way, can you folks see the numbers on my screen? Can you just confirm that? I just want to make sure, because I'm not sure if this presentation is correctly sharing. So my apologies if it's not. So maybe someone can give me a quick confirmation. I know there's a bit of a lag, so I just want to confirm that before I continue with the presentation. Because I don't know if it's switching between the different slides. So just wondering if that is actually working. No, it's not, right? Okay. All right. So it doesn't. So apologies, folks. I'm not sure. Not sure why that's happening. So I guess I'll go through the slides one by one, just like this. It's not the ideal thing, but I guess we'll have to make do with what it is. All right, so it's stuck on the first page. All right, my apologies, folks. I don't know why this is not working. All right, so what I'll do is. I'll probably just stick to going through the slides just manually the way this is, and let me just increase the zoom in on it so you folks can actually see it. So just bear with me here, and let me see how I can zoom in on this. Apologies, folks. Let me see how I can zoom in on this so that you folks can actually get a glimpse of my screen here. So my apologies. Bear with me. I'm just trying to figure out how to zoom in on this. There we go. So let me know. So I'm just zooming it in a bit more, and it should be more visible for you folks. Unfortunately, that looks like that's the maximum that I can zoom it. So apologies for that, folks. I thought this platform would work fine, but clearly there's some issues here. All right, so here are the numbers, right? On average, you have 250 job applications per posting, right? And thanks Shivam, appreciate that. Yeah, there we go. So on average, folks, there are 250 applications per job posting, right? And that's the major barrier that most of you folks are going to be facing when you're going through with applying to jobs online. And just a breakdown of some of the numbers is, of those 250 applications, recruiters are not going to go through each and every one of those submitted applications, right? And again, going back to what I mentioned before, 250 is the average pre-COVID-19. I'm talking about before COVID-19 hit, before the pandemic, before the mass layoffs and the influx of available talent. That was the average. So now I tried to do some research in terms of what the new average is right now in the middle of the pandemic, but I couldn't really find much data in terms of that. But I would assume, and we can all assume, that average has probably gone up, if not a little bit, at least by maybe 100 or a couple of hundred or so. So that's why, for the most part, folks, you're not getting much in terms of responses as you're going through with your job search, right? When you're applying for jobs online, you have a great resume. You have a fantastic resume, you have great background experience, but the fact is recruiters are not going to go through each and every one of those 250 applications. And that's the major issue, right? That people are, why a lot of you folks are not getting responses to your applications. Now, what happens to those 250 applications? Now, again, like I said, the recruiter is not going to go through each. And by the way, I'm sharing with you my experiences as a recruiter myself, right? I'm not going to go through all 250 of those applications, right? Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to narrow it down to a manageable amount that I can actually reach out to on call. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a keyword search, and I'm going to narrow that down to maybe anywhere between 15 to maybe 20, 25 applications, right? And of those 15 to 25 applications, those are the people that I'm going to actually pick up the phone and call, right? Because I can't call all 250 of those applications, folks. Like, I mean, it just, from a recruiter standpoint, it's just not a good use of my time, right? So I'm going to do a keyword search. I'm going to narrow it down to, again, maybe 15 to maybe 20, 25 applications. And I'm going to actually call those people. So already, what does that leave us with, folks? That's less than 8% of those 250 applications that are actually going to receive a phone call. The rest are going to remain in the ATS, picking up digital dust, right? Like no one's going to be looking at it. No one's going to be even coming across the resume. And for the most part, that's what's happening to you folks. Your resume is in the ATS, but it's just that you did not make it through that keyword search where the recruiter narrowed it down to maybe 15 to 25 applications that they're actually going to phone the person. Now, of those 15 to 25 people, some of them, it's going to end up with, going to the voicemail, and the recruiter is going to leave a voicemail. Some of them are not going to qualify. Some of them are definitely going to qualify. And then of those who qualify, the recruiter is going to decide on, hey, who are the maybe 4 or 5 people that I'm going to present who are the top picks to the hiring team. So that's going to leave us with, again, 4 or 5 people, right? So that's, at the point of even being considered or being presented to the hiring team, what we're left is less than 2% of the original 250 applications. Right now, some of you watching, you might be, feeling very disheartened, and you might be, some of you might be even kind of, freaking out, right? Because the numbers are clearly not in your favor. So we went from 250 applications being submitted to the posting on average, and less than 2% of those 250 are actually going to be presented to the hiring manager and the hiring team. So the point here, folks, is this is why solely submitting your resume and simply depending on your resume or your application is a losing game. The numbers are not in your favor. So that's why what I want to argue for in today's session is you have to take additional steps, proactive steps to give yourself the best shot at getting in front of the hiring team. All right. So that's what I want you folks thinking about. Now, and again, I just want to stress that again, proactive, folks. You got to think of what can you do that's proactive to get yourself in front of the hiring team. That's what I want you folks thinking about and brainstorming. And I'm going to share with you again seven strategies that you can use to give yourself that advantage to be noticed and to at least get in front of the hiring manager. So again, being proactive is the key, folks, right? Like when you're applying to jobs online and you're just waiting for a response, you're being passive. And this is why so many of you are not getting responses to your application, to your job application, to all your attempts at putting a great resume together, investing in maybe a resume writer, having a fantastic resume, submitting it to the ATS, having a fantastic maybe cover letter, right? And you're submitting it, and whatever the case is, you're taking a very more of a passive approach, and that's really the greatest issue that so many people have, right? So you need to make sure, folks, that yes, you are continuing to apply online, but I want you thinking about proactive. Like, what can you do that's proactive? What can you do beyond hitting submit or send to get yourself the attention that you deserve, right? For whatever opportunities that you're applying for. Because look, the fact is, folks, it's not that you're not the right fit for the role. It's simply that your resume just didn't end up getting narrowed down to that final iteration where the recruiter is actually giving you a phone call, right? So you don't want to. So that's why you don't want to depend on hoping, wishing, and praying that the recruiter is somehow gonna magically see your resume and you're gonna get that phone call, right? So proactive. I want everyone to start thinking about, hey, what proactive means can I use beyond submitting my resume or beyond submitting my application that's going to get me in front of the recruiter or get me a phone call or get me in front of the hiring team or whatever is needed, right? So again, the 7 ideas I'm going to share is going to help you do that. Now, tip number 1, right? Tip number 1 in terms of what you can do is try and be among the first, right? Now this is where my suggestion is in terms of how you can be among the first. And what do I mean by be among the first is you want to be among the first applicants to submit your resume to if it's a public job posting, to the public job posting, right? So my suggestion on how to do that is, first of all, you need to set up job alerts. All right. So if you're taking notes, you want to take note of all the popular job board sites that you go to, right, to apply for jobs. So LinkedIn, Monster, what are the other ones? Indeed, and whichever ones are popular in your country or your domain, folks, right? You got to set up job alerts for these various job boards. And that's going to allow you to get, and by the way, you'll have the option of getting alerted immediately or daily or on a weekly basis. Now, I know some of you might be like, hey, Dean, you know what? I don't want, daily alerts. It's going to be annoying. I'm going to have so many emails coming in. Fair enough, folks. But here's the thing. If you only opt for the weekly alerts, it could be by the time you get that weekly alert, like they've already got like so many applicants coming in, and you're not going to be able to take advantage of being among the first. So my suggestion, folks, is you want to set up daily alerts, right, at the job boards, right? So on LinkedIn, you want to set up the job alerts. On Monster, on Indeed, whatever your local popular job board site is, you want to set up the daily alerts. That's my recommendation. So that way, you right away, you're going to get the alert, right? It's going to say, boom, we got you got a new job alert. You got a new Java developer opportunity, or a new project manager opportunity, whatever it is. Then you want to apply for the position as soon as possible. When you're among the first, the recruiter, the HR manager, the hiring manager is going to pay more attention, right? Because what's going to happen later on is they're going to get a whole influx of all these, maybe tens of hundreds of applications. Then your resume, your application is going to get lost amongst the pile. But if you're able to get in as soon as possible, then there's a higher chance the recruiter or the hiring manager or the HR manager is going to give you a phone call, or they're going to try to reach out to you. They're going to contact you, assuming you are a good fit for the role, right? So for those of you who are just randomly applying to positions, hoping that something's going to hit, hey, if you don't have the right skills, the right experience, the right expertise and all that stuff, even if you're one of the first to apply, it's not going to make a difference. All right. So I'm just keeping it real with you folks, right? The assumption here is that it's the ideal role for you. There's a strong fit. You're pretty much the ideal candidate for the role. If you can get your application as one of the first, it increases your chances of actually getting a phone call or communication from the hiring team or the hiring manager, right? So again, my tip in terms of this is set up your job alerts, right? So again, LinkedIn, go to the LinkedIn jobs section. Put in the jobs you're searching for. Set up a job alert. Make sure you set it to daily alert. You want to get in front of them as soon as possible. Same thing for Indeed. Same thing for Monster and whatever job board sites you're using. If you be among the first, like I say over here, one of the major pros is you get that first mover advantage, right? Higher chance of your resume application getting looked at, and greater eagerness of the hiring team to look at the strong profiles they receive before it gets too crowded, right? Which brings me to the cons. It's going to be difficult to predict or forecast when a role is going to be advertised. So that's why you want to set up those job alerts and also get notified in time so you can be among the first to apply. So again, daily alerts, folks. Don't do the weekly alerts or occasional alerts. You're serious about getting a job, you want to be among the first, set up the daily alerts so that you're able to put your resume out there as soon as possible. And the other con, of course, is the more popular a company is, the more quickly the applications are going to start piling up, right? And I'm talking about here the major banks, big retailers, multinational huge companies such as Google, Microsoft, companies like that. Things are going to get crazy real quick, right? So that's a con. That's something you might not be able to address, but you want to give yourself the best shot, and then you want to get your resume out there as soon as possible. All right. So set up those alerts. All right. Now, strategy number two, know the hiring team. This is probably one of an extremely effective strategy, and this is where you want to put focus on your professional networking as one of your strategies, right? That you're taking as you're approaching these, applying for jobs online. How you can give yourself an advantage. Well, from the first strategy, your resume might get very well lost in the crowd, right? So how do you bypass that? How do you overcome this whole rat race of approaching hundreds and thousands, maybe even thousands of applications for these opportunities? Well, another way is if you don't want to depend on that, hey, get to know the hiring team, right? Now, some of you might be saying, well, Dean, how do I know who the hiring team is? Yeah, so this is where it's kind of a longer term strategy, folks, because this is where you got to focus on your professional networking, right? So I see in the comments, my friend Ronald Mondal says 100% agreed. Yeah, so Ronald himself works in recruitment, right? He's a recruitment expert, so he knows exactly what I'm talking about when I'm talking about these tips. So good to have you here, Ronald. Thanks for your comment. So yeah, strategy number two, folks, you need to get to know hiring teams, right? So the way you do this is through professional networking, right? So this is where you want to actually find out from people you already know, maybe who they can introduce you to, right? So ask your friends, ask your colleagues, ask your previous colleagues, hey, do you know any hiring managers at XYZ company, at ABC company? Do you know so and so at this company? Do you know so and so at that company? This is where the professional networking comes into play, folks. And if you're able to network with the right people and build relationships over the long term, guess what? They're going to give you a heads up before they even post the role, right? Before they post the role, or as soon as they post the role, they're going to be like, hey, Dean, I got this role that we're going to be releasing soon. We're looking for a recruiter for our team. I think you'd be a great fit, but you gotta apply through the official application. But apply to that and let me know. That's the kind of relationships you got to build, folks. All right. Now, the thing with this is, you need to take the right approach in your networking, because if your networking is just you saying, "Hey, can you refer me for this position? Can you refer me for that position?" and blah blah blah. I mean, everyone's going to be doing that. So you need to have the right approach and the right strategy in how you're connecting with these people. Now, some of the pros is you will have the backing. If you're able to do this successfully, you will have the backing of major decision makers and influencers who will vouch for you, in terms of someone that might be a good, strong fit for the position, right? But again, you need to build those relationships in advance. Another pro is you get to bypass any middle person, any third parties, any official application process. In some cases, you might get to bypass all of that and get straight into the interview process, right? So you don't have to go through maybe HR. You don't have to go through the corporate recruiter. Maybe you don't have to go through the agency that might be, recruiting on the position, because you already know the hiring team. You already know them. You already have an established relationship, so you can potentially bypass these other channels in order to get yourself in front of these individuals for these opportunities, right? Now that being said, some of the cons, right? Some of the cons is this is limited. This strategy is limited to managers and hiring teams that or who are actively hiring, right? And you know what? Getting in touch with these hiring teams and building those relationships itself, folks, can be a challenge in and of itself. And the other con is there could be potential conflicts of interest, right? Like if you know a hiring team, if their organization has certain policies and procedures in regards to who they can interview, if there are certain conflict of interest, kind of processes and rules in place there, that might affect things, and because of that, they might not be able to interview you for the opportunity. All right. Now, moving on to the third strategy, get referrals. Now, before I move into that, I got a comment here from Rinky. Rinky says, how can we build relationships with hiring teams who doesn't accept the LinkedIn request? Yeah, so that's a good point, right? So Rinky says, well, Dean, how do we build those relationships if they're not even accepting my LinkedIn connection requests? So look, folks, your approach matters as well, right? So it depends on your approach, how you're approaching, how you're messaging people, how you're building those relationships. That makes a difference as well. So if Rinky and anyone else out there, if you're finding that hiring managers are not they're not really paying attention to you, they're not open to connecting with you, they're not communicating with you, it's probably your approach, right? It's probably your approach, probably the kind of messages you're sending out, and it's probably the impression you're giving, right? So how you approach people makes a difference. It's not just what you do, right, guys? It's all about how you do it as well, right? So hope that helps, Rinky. Keep that in mind when you're networking. So get referrals. That's strategy number 3. How can you get more referrals? So that's another thing you got to keep in mind for your, in terms of giving yourself that advantage. Now, how you can do this is start with your existing network, right? Start with your existing network. A lot of you folks go into reaching out to people that you don't know right away, which is fine. I totally get that. But start with your inner circle first and then work yourself outwards, right? That's how you get the referrals, because people who know you are going to be more confident about presenting you and telling organizations or referring you for opportunities because they personally know you. They can vouch for you. They know about your work ethic. They know what you're like as a person. They know you bring a lot to the table. So start with your inner circle, folks, right? Close friends, family, friends, relatives, cousins, whatever it is. Start with them. Find out who they know, right, in their network that they can introduce you to, and then work yourself outwards, right? This is how you work your referrals. Then from there you meet, you maybe recent or former coworkers and colleagues. From there you go to maybe managers, previous supervisors, people who know you. Then you go to maybe senior executives that you know in your network, or then you go out to recruiters. So start with people that you do know, and then you want to work yourself outwards from there. All right. Now, Andre says, how would you message a HR LinkedIn contact, for example? Yeah, so Andre, I actually have I will be speaking about direct messaging shortly. So hang in there, Andre. I'm going to get to that shortly. So in terms of get referrals, folks, start with your inner circle and work yourself outwards, right? Now, some of the pros, like I said over here, is you have the ability to be you being referred by an internal employee does have weight, right? If someone is working in a company, they want to refer someone that they know, their referral does have some weight, right? Especially if these were people that used to work with you, they know what you're like in a professional working environment. Chances are you're almost guaranteed a conversation with, at least with HR, right? So don't underestimate the importance of getting referrals, right? And building those relationships and getting in touch with these people. And so it's almost guaranteed you will get a conversation. Now, the cons are you might have a limited network of contacts that are okay with referring you. And the other limitation is, for those of you new to the country, you might not have an extensive existing network of contacts. So you need to, what you need to do at your end, folks, is, for those of you who are new to the country, you don't have a strong network of connections, is you have to build your network of connections, right? You got to start networking, attend professional networking events, attend events related to your industry. You got to start building your network if you don't have a network. Because otherwise it's going to be, you're going to be, you have to address this con, which is a limited network of contacts who are okay with referring you. Now, the other con is the conversation is not necessarily with the decision maker. So let's say someone refers you, they say, hey, yeah, I can refer you for this position. They're internal at the company. That first conversation is probably going to be with HR in most cases. So it's not necessarily with a decision maker. So you still have to sell the HR person on why they should move you along the process, and maybe introduce you to the hiring manager or the actual team that's hiring for the position. And the final con is, look, the person who referred you might not have much view into what's going on with the hiring process, unless this is a position that's for their own team, right? If it's outside of their team, they might not have much visibility into what's going on, what's happening, what the hiring team's thoughts are about you. Have they made a decision? Are they going to move you on to the second interview, the third interview, and stuff like that? Depending on who the person referring you is, they may or may not have that visibility. So you might not be able to really gather much information. All right, so that's those are my thoughts in terms of referrals. Now, what is the next strategy I suggest you make use of is staffing agencies. Hey, and I'm not just including this because I used to work in the staffing industry, but staffing agencies are a great resource, folks, that all of you folks need to make use of. Now, how you make use of staffing agencies is, first of all, you need to identify which agencies are specializing in your field, in your skills, and in your domain, basically, right? So you got to figure out, where are these individuals like that are recruiting for my skills and for my skill set? Because if they're not really recruiting for your skills or your skill set, then there's not really much that they can do for you, right? So I'm just going to quickly see if I can do the full screen thing, folks. I'm just going to give it one more try just to see if it works, because I'd rather do the presentation like that. But if it doesn't, we'll go back to doing it the way it was. So yeah, I don't know why. I tested this out before, but for some reason it's not working. So anyway, let me just move along with the presentation. All right. So my apologies again. You folks have to look at this, in this way. Yeah. So first thing you got to do, folks, you got to identify agencies that are specializing in your field and in your skill set. And then what you want to do is you either want to call the agency and introduce yourself as someone that they can potentially present to their clients, or number two, you want to connect with recruiters in your network. So Cynthia says try F5. All right, so let me try. Well, Cynthia, I actually got a Mac, so I don't know what the F5 equivalent for that would be on a Mac, but I appreciate your help, Cynthia. I really appreciate that. You need to use one of those two methods, folks. So number one, what do we do? Identify agencies specializing in your skills and in your field. Number two, you want to identify those recruiters on LinkedIn. You want to reach out to them on LinkedIn. You want to connect with them. Now, if you send connection requests to recruiters on LinkedIn, chances are all of them are going to accept your LinkedIn connection requests, right? Now, what is the pro of using a staffing agency? Well, number one is you get to get your resume directly in front of hiring managers and decision makers, assuming your profile is the right fit for the position, right? So assuming you have the right skills for the position, assuming that you're the exact kind of candidate that they're looking for the role, assuming all that, it's very possible that your profile is going to end up in front of the actual decision maker. So you get to bypass, the ATS, you get to bypass the whole application process. You might even be able to bypass, HR and all that stuff, because if the agency has a direct contact with the decision maker, the hiring manager, they can probably get you in front of, the decision maker. So Kieran says, I'm making full screen here. It's working. Okay, so apparently full screen is working. So Kieran, let me try that out once more, just to see if it's just to see if this thing is working. Hold on. Let me try one more thing, folks. Apologies for this. I just want to make sure you folks have the right good experience with this presentation. Yeah, so looks like so looks like we're in business. All right, so looks like, God willing, looks like things are good. All right, so looks like it did work this time. All right, so going on to the pros, right? Get resume directly in front of the decision maker, right? That's one of the major pros of working with a staffing agency, because if they find that, okay, you're the right fit for the role, you're the right fit for the position, they feel like you have the right skills, they will present you right to the decision maker, right? In most cases, right? Now, this could depend on the internal process at the company, the organization, but it's going to be the best bet for you to get right in front of the actual people making the decision, the actual hiring manager, the hiring team. So that's one of the major pros. Now, what's the other major pro is the recruiting agency, the staffing agency will actually handle and coordinate communication with the hiring team on your behalf, right? So all those salary negotiations, all those awkward conversations, you can avoid all those heated conversations and discussions, especially in negotiations, because the staffing agency can handle all that stuff on your behalf. So it frees up a lot of time for you to focus on, maybe other opportunities that you're applying for, or the other components of your job search. So make sure that you're keeping these pros in mind as you're approaching staffing agencies, right? By the way, shout out to Kieran. Kieran, I guess this full screen thing actually did work. I don't know what happened there, but looks like it is working now. All right. So that being said, moving on to the cons, folks. All right. Now, what are some of the cons in terms of working with staffing agencies, right? Because there are cons. If you already applied for a position directly, the agency won't assist you. Now, why is that? Like, some of you might have already experienced this, right? Where the agency says, well, if you already applied for the position, we can't really help you out with this opportunity. Now, why does that happen? Well, because the staffing agency gets paid by the organization, folks, right? So when the agency presents people, and it's people that the agency found that the organization could not find themselves, that's when and let's say the organization hires the individual, that's when the agency gets paid. The agency gets paid afterwards, for the most part, right? It's called contingency recruitment. So if you already if you've already applied to the position, the organization is already aware of you, then the agency does not get a finder's fee. So that's why a lot of times the agency will say or ask you, hey, have you applied for this opportunity already? Right? Have you already applied? Because if you already applied, the agency can't really help you, because their client will tell them, hey, we already have this person on our database, or we've already interviewed this person, and we already know about them, right? So then the agency can't really proceed, right? So that's one of the cons. Now, what's the other thing is the extent to which an agency will assist you is dependent on whether or not you're the top pick for the role. Now, let's say they present you and their client really likes you, and they want to move you forward in the process or whatnot. Hey, if that's the case, perfect. That's the ideal situation, right? Now, on the downside, however, if for whatever reason they submit your resume, the client does not feel that you're the right fit for whatever reason, not much the agency can do on your behalf, right? So this is one of the cons of the agency, is that, hey, if you're not the top pick, if their client doesn't feel like you're a strong fit, nothing much else really the agency can do on your behalf. All right. So yeah, I've already kind of mentioned this. If you're not the topic, the agency can't do much on your behalf. Yeah, looks like I'm already losing my voice. but hope. Okay, so I got a question from Roya. So Roya says, can you please elaborate on contingency recruitment on tip number 4? Is there more to that question? Yeah. So Roya, what I mean by contingency recruitment, Roya, is basically and folks, the majority of staffing agencies operate under a contingency model. So if I could put a percentage, I would say roughly like maybe 90% of staffing agencies out there operate on a contingency model. Now, what that means is, uh, let's say I'm an agency, I approach an organization and they're like, yeah, we need your help finding people. I do not get paid anything up front, right? The organization does not pay me. What they do is they say, hey, Dean, we will pay you contingent or dependent on whether or not you present a candidate that we actually end up hiring, right? So most agencies, folks, do not get paid anything up front from their client. The client only pays after the agency presents someone that the organization actually hires, right? And even then, the agency does not get paid right away. It's usually after the probation period, right? So let's say, Roya, I present you for a role to an organization. Everything works out well. They put an offer on the table, and then you work at the company. So me as a recruiter, I do not get paid even then. Like, I only get paid after Roya passes her 3 months probation period, and we're talking full-time permanent positions here. And beyond that point, that's when the agency actually gets paid. They actually bill and invoice the client, and they get paid when Roya passes the guarantee period, which is the probation period. Now, for contracts, it's different. The agency does get paid right away. It's because it's on an hourly basis. So for contract positions, yeah, there is a markup charged above the hourly rate that you get paid to the organization, right? So we got a question here from Nitin. Nitin says, could you please shout out some examples of some staffing agencies for IT consulting in Toronto? Yeah, so Nitin, like folks, look, it's very simple for you folks to do a Google search and find agencies here in Toronto, right, for IT. It's very simple. Just go to Google, type in recruitment agencies, or you can type in IT recruitment agencies Toronto. Like, that's it. It's that simple, all right? So let's go to the next part. Number 5, cold calling. Now, a lot of you will be very adverse to this, but this is something I myself have tried. And it's definitely one of the more difficult strategies, all right? But stay with me, folks. I want you to stay with me on the presentation. I'm just sharing ideas with you folks, all right? So whichever ones you want to do, you can pick and choose. Now, cold calling. How do you cold call? Well, first of all, you got to research the contact number for organizations you want to work for or who are hiring, right? Then you got to identify potential hiring team members. So there is some research involved. And then next, what you want to do is you want to call in and ask to speak with them to introduce yourself as a potential candidate for the position, all right? Now, I have personally done this myself, folks, and yeah, you definitely can get some results here and there. But I wanted to give you a clear kind of breakdown of the pros and cons if you choose to do this. Again, you do not have to do this, right? Any of these strategies, folks, they're all optional. Which ones you want to do, which ones you don't want to do, it's entirely up to you, all right? I'm just presenting you with options. Now, some of the pros. It is probably the most proactive way, folks, of getting in front of the decision maker or actually reaching the decision maker. It's one of the most proactive ways, right? Now, the second thing is it's also one of the best ways to get in direct contact with the hiring team and pitch them on what you bring to the table. So you're bypassing the ATS, you're bypassing submitting your resume, you're bypassing HR, you're bypassing having to find an agency, you're bypassing all of that stuff and getting in direct contact with potential hiring team members. Now, that being said, there are cons, right? There are definitely cons. Number 1, receptiveness to cold calls can depend on your country or your location. Now, in North America, right, Canada, America, cold calling is pretty, most organizations expect cold calls, right? So it's a fairly normal practice over here. Now, for some of you in other countries, this might not be an acceptable or good strategy to use, because it might be considered unprofessional, right? So I know some parts of Europe, cold calling is frowned upon. Some other countries out there in other regions of the world. So if you're gonna cold call, you gotta first evaluate whether it is something you can do in your country or your location, right? Because there might be some cultural repercussions to this, right? So you got to examine whether it is acceptable in your region or your country. So I'm speaking about cold calling because, in North America, Canada, America, it's pretty, I mean, most organizations expect cold calls, unsolicited phone calls, right? But you got to evaluate whether it makes sense for you in your location. Also, the other con is you do have to get past gatekeepers, right? Gatekeepers means receptionists, right? These are people answering the main line. And their job is to make sure you don't waste anyone else's time, right? Like if you're asking for a hiring manager and that person is like a director or a VP or something like that, the receptionist's job is to make sure you're not just someone who's calling in to waste their time. So they're going to screen you. They're going to ask you questions. You got to overcome that, right? And these are all things that I played around with and I had to do when I was doing cold calling before, folks, right? So this is definitely one of the barriers to cold calling. You have to be good at getting past the gatekeepers, and you got to do it professionally. You got to do it courteously. And you have to understand that sometimes you might not be able to actually reach the decision maker because the receptionist is going to prevent that from happening. And it's going to end up with you having to, maybe leave a message or something of that sort, right? And one more thing I wanted to mention is, well, actually, no, sorry, I already mentioned that. So moving on. Tip number 6, walk-in visits. Again, this is another strategy I have personally used. And again, folks, these are just options, right? I'm not saying you have to do all of these things. All of these, the 6 strategies I presented so far, these are all options for you folks to consider, right? Now, the walk-in visit, this is also another very, very, very powerful way to stand out. And how do you do it? Well, you physically visit the office location of the company, introduce yourself, and ask if you can meet with the potential hiring team member that you've identified in your research, right? Now, I have personally done this, and every now and then I have actually been invited to get interviewed, right? And it's as simple as walking up to the receptionist or walking up to the person at the front desk and saying, hey, how's it going? My name is Dean. I just happened to be in the area and I was doing some research on your company. And look, I don't have any appointments set up or anything of that sort. And I'm certainly not looking to waste anyone's time at your office. But I know that you're looking for an XYZ, and I'd love to know if I could have the opportunity to briefly meet with so-and-so, who, based on my research, is the person hiring for this position. So if you don't mind, can you please check if they're available? I only need about 5 to 10 minutes of their time. And, if you can do that, I'd be happy to meet with them. If not, I totally understand. So that's the approach I used to take, folks, right? Like I have experimented with this, and, most of the time it's like, yeah, they're busy right now or something of that sorts. But sometimes I actually used to be able to get meetings like this, right? So the walk-in visit is definitely a powerful tool. And the pros is, so it's a very powerful strategy for demonstrating a high level of interest, right? This allows you to show really high levels of interest in the opportunity. Another pro is it allows you to bypass the application process and middle persons and even bypass the phone call and present yourself like, right there in person to the person that might be your manager or your supervisor. And you can make an in-person impression right away, right? If you use this strategy. Now, there are definitely cons, all right? So definitely negatives to using this. Now, definitely time consuming. It's very time consuming. And the time it takes for you to travel and actually meet these physical offices, you could basically use all of the other strategies I spoke about multiple times over, right? So it might not be the most effective use of your time. So you should only do this when you're very, very confident that you can definitely impress, make a good first impression and get a meeting with the actual hiring manager. So again, it's a time consuming thing. That's one of the cons to this strategy. All right. So what I'm saying is, let's say it takes you like half an hour or 1 hour to actually travel to this place, like whichever this office is. In that 1 hour, I could have, done something else. I could have, done some networking. I could have reached out to some agencies. I could have done, whichever one of those previous strategies I spoke about. In that same time it took for me to travel and just get to one organization. And again, another con, whether or not this is acceptable could depend on your country, city, culture, etc. And especially right now, folks, because of COVID-19, because of the pandemic, I don't want you folks going out there getting in trouble, right? Especially right here in Toronto, we're in a lockdown right now. So you probably can't do this anyway. But even after we move out of the pandemic, you have to examine whether this is acceptable in your culture, in your country, in your location, in your city, and all that. Because if it's not, it's going to be considered unprofessional. It's going to backfire, right? So here in Canada, America as well, this might be more acceptable, right? But if you're in a different part of the world, might not be something that's acceptable, right? So you got to make that judgment. And now strategy number 7, right? And this is the strategy, folks, and just to give you a heads up, this is the strategy that I have personally created a course that's going to help you, utilize this as part of standing out when you're applying to jobs online. And that is direct messaging, right? Directly messaging people that are potential hiring managers, or if not potential hiring managers, then HR and corporate recruiters or whoever those other, middle people might be. Now, how do you do this? Well, firstly, so after you apply, folks, right? So after you hit apply, you submit your resume, what you got to do is you got to do some research, identify potential hiring team members on LinkedIn, right? The next thing you want to do is you want to send them a compelling, value-added direct message, and then you want to follow up if needed, and then transition into a phone call or a Zoom call. This is, in my opinion, one of the most effective strategies, right? And I'm gonna tell you why shortly. And it's not just because I've created a course, regarding this particular strategy, but let me share with you the pros and the cons. All right. So number 1 pro is it's a non-intrusive method of getting attention of decision makers, right? So if you look at the other strategies, right? So cold calling, walk-in visits, even networking, even reaching out to your contacts and asking them for referrals and stuff like that. Compared to that, sending a direct message is pretty non-intrusive, right? It's not like you're calling people. It's not like you're invading their privacy or something like that. And it's definitely not like a cold call where they're not expecting your phone call and you're giving them a call. It's definitely not like an in-person visit where you're kind of showing up there and asking for a meeting. It's a very non-intrusive method of getting the attention of decision makers, right? Because it's all dependent of whether or not they want to read your message or actually respond to your message. The recipient feels like they're in control of it. So because of that, it's very non-intrusive. Other thing is, within a couple of seconds, folks, right? When reading your message, they have their full attention on it, right? If they're reading your message, it means they are reading your message, right? Versus, let's say you're on the phone with someone or you're speaking to someone, you're trying to get a referral, you're networking with them, you got an informational interview and stuff like that. They might zone out, right? They might be looking here and there. They might be focusing on other things, and doing a whole bunch of other stuff. But if they're in their inbox, right, on LinkedIn or if they're in their email inbox, when they're reading a message, it means they have their full attention on that message, whether it's a LinkedIn message or whether it's an email message. They're not distracted by anything else, right? Because if they were distracted by anything else, they would not be checking their inbox. They would not be checking their email. Right? And think about yourself when you're checking your email, when you're checking your LinkedIn messages. Usually, for the most part, you're usually 100% focused on the messages that you're going through, right? Let me know in the comments if that's the case. I mean, think of yourself as someone who uses your LinkedIn inbox or your email inbox as well. So one of the other major pros is when someone is reading your message, they have their full attention on it. Now, the caveat is, and I mentioned it there, if it's well written, right? If you're sending a generic message, it's not making any sense, it doesn't stand out, then yeah, they're going to have their full attention on it. They're going to determine, hey, this message doesn't really mean anything. They're going to move on to the next message, right? And then they're going to pay their full attention to that next message. Now, the other pro is within seconds of reading a great direct message, folks, they gain all the key information, which entices them into having a further conversation with you, or whether or not they want to continue the conversation or respond to the message or get back in touch with you. So again, the direct message, when you send a direct message, within a couple of seconds of reading the message, they know or you're able to convey enticing information or things to get their attention. And they also are able to determine within a few seconds whether they want to respond or whether they want to get in touch with you, or whether they want to take things to the next level, whatever that next level is. So these are, I would say, some of the reason why this is such a powerful strategy is because of these 3 reasons right here. It's non-intrusive. And when someone is reading your message or your email, they have their full attention on it. And then number 3 is within seconds of reading a great direct message, the recipient is able to determine whether your ask or your message or whatever you've written is enticing, so that they can make sense of taking things to the next level, right? Whether that's another message, another email, another phone call, or maybe a Zoom call. Now, there are definitely cons, right? There's definitely cons even for this. Number 1 is, what you write is going to make a huge difference. If you're writing generic messages, they are not going to fly. Like, you must have a structure, and you must have components to stand out and be compelling. Right now, this is the mistake. So some of you watching this already might be like, Dean, I'm already sending out direct messages. I'm already sending out these direct messages. I'm not getting responses. Well, it's because your message might be coming across as generic, folks, right? Now, as someone who has worked in recruitment, and even to this day, I get messages from so many people reaching out to me, right? If your message is, hey, Dean, I'm a project manager. I'm looking for, new project management opportunities. Here's my resume. Can you get back to me? That is a generic message, folks, right? It's not capturing attention, right? So it's not just what you do, but it's also how you do it as well, right? So it's not just a matter of sending out any kind of a message and then trying to reach these individuals, but it's also about what you're writing in your message, right? So what I mean, so one of the cons is, if you're not writing the right kind of messages, if it doesn't have the right structure, if it doesn't have the right components, it's still not going to get anyone's attention. It's not going to be compelling, and they're not going to want to respond. And the other con is, you must conduct research and identify who to reach out to, right? Because you can't be reaching out to random people, or people that might not have any interest in connecting with you, or who might not be able to really benefit from communicating with you, or building a relationship with you. So you must conduct the research that allows you to figure out who you're reaching out to, so that you know whether you're reaching out to the right person or the right people. All right. And then another con is follow-up, right? You got to follow up, right? And this is a mistake so many of you folks make, is you're sending out one message or maybe two messages, you're not getting a response, and you give up. So you should never depend, folks, on just one or two messages sent out to someone. Follow-up is essential, and it's extremely important. Follow-up is extremely, extremely important because, and this is something I learned while I was working in sales. You have to follow up. Now, it's not just a matter of, again, just like how I said about, creating the right kind of message with the right structure and the right components. It's not just about writing any kind of follow-up. Like, you have to have specific components to your follow-up that makes it more enticing and makes people want to, actually get back in communication with you, right? So follow-up is extremely essential, and it needs to put the focus on the other person, right? So if your idea of follow-up is you saying, hey, Dean, I sent you a message last week, and I didn't hear back from you. Please let me know your thoughts on my previous message. That's not follow-up, folks. If your follow-up is, hey, Dean, just want to check back with you and find out if you reviewed my resume, that's not follow-up, folks. If your follow-up message is, hey, Dean, just wanted to find out if you made a decision about whether you want to move ahead with me in the process or not, that's not follow-up, folks. Follow-up is much more, there's much more to follow-up than just that. Follow-up is an extremely, extremely powerful strategy, right? And if you're taking notes, I want you to write this down. Follow-up is not a task, it's a strategy. All right, so again, write that down, folks. If you're taking notes, I want you to write that down. It's extremely important. Follow-up is not a task, it's a strategy. And it's a strategy you need to carry out over a period of time. All right. So this is something extremely important. I want you to know about follow-up. But direct messaging, again, this is why it's one of the most powerful strategies you can use to stand out when you're applying to jobs online. And this is something I encourage all of you to start doing. In fact, of all the strategies, I want you to start using this one. All right. Direct messaging. Always direct message people that you can that might be potential hiring managers for the positions you're applying to. All right. Now, here's what you're experiencing right now when you're applying to jobs online, folks, right? And by the way, this is the part where I'm going to provide you with more information about what I'm offering today in terms of my course. And I'm going to offer you folks with a very, very appealing and enticing pricing and deal. I promise you that, and I assure you it's going to be something that you're going to find very attractive. So I want you to stay with me for the remainder of this presentation. And then after that, I'm going to open up to any questions. I'm going to respond to any questions from the comments as well. All right. But the reason why I created this program is because of so much of what I've heard from job seekers in terms of what they're experiencing when they're applying to jobs online. So let me know in the comments if this is what you're experiencing right now when you're applying to jobs online. You're not getting any responses to your applications from hiring teams, right? Recruiters and HR are not responding to your resume or your application submissions either. Right, that's the other challenge I hear all the time. And you're trying to get referrals, but that doesn't go anywhere either, right? You're trying to get referrals. You're trying to reach out to people that you know. You're trying to reach out to recruiters, your friends, maybe family members, your colleagues, previous colleagues. You're trying to get referrals, but that goes nowhere either. But that being said, everybody talks about how important referrals are. Well, how do you get referrals if no one's trying to help you get a referral? What have you tried? Now, so as a result of all this stuff, most of you folks have tried making pivots and changes, right, in terms of what you can do. So what have you tried so far? You've tried being more selective in what you apply for, right? Maybe you're like, okay, you know what, Dean, maybe I've been applying to too many different types of positions. I'm going to be more selective. I'm going to be more particular about what opportunities I want to apply for. You try that. Or maybe the other half of you is like, no, you know what? Maybe I need to be less selective. You know what, Dean? I've been too picky. I've been too selective. I'm gonna widen my net more. I'm gonna apply for more positions. You've tried that, right? You tried both of these. Still no result. Still no responses. Now, what's the other thing you tried is you tried doing more networking to see if you can get more referrals, right? So you're trying to network more. You're trying to reach out to more people. You're trying to make more connections, meet with more recruiters, go to more informational sessions, attend more free meetings, right? You're trying to do more networking to see if you can get more referrals. What else are you doing? You're also spending more time tweaking, updating, and experimenting with your resume, right? Well, maybe I got to change this. Maybe I got to change that. Maybe I got to update my resume. Maybe I got to restructure it, right? You're tweaking your resume, seeing if that makes any changes. What else are you doing? You're also investing in upgrading your skills, right? You're investing in certifications, improving your knowledge, which, by the way, are all great things. You should definitely keep doing that. But the problem is it's not getting you any changes in terms of not getting responses when you're applying to jobs online, right? That's the major thing. And by the way, the reason why I'm sharing all these things with you, these are things that I have personally experienced myself, and this is also based on all my conversations with job seekers. Back when I was in recruitment, and even right now, as I got into job search coaching, like these are the same struggles I hear from everyone. So this is why if you're watching this and you're nodding your head, it's because all of us go through this, folks. I have experienced all of these myself. I hear this all the time from job seekers on a day-to-day basis. These are the same struggles everyone is struggling with when they're applying to jobs online and not getting any responses. And then finally, you're trying to figure out how to message people on LinkedIn, right? And how everyone says be more active on LinkedIn. Yeah, folks, you gotta be more active on LinkedIn. Yeah, well, what does that mean? Like, how do you message people? Like, you've tried messaging people, still nothing, still no responses, still no way to deal with this whole situation. So you've tried all these things, folks, and I have tried all these things as well, right? And like I said, I'm in communication with job seekers on a daily basis through my content, through my videos, my articles, my posts, and all that stuff. Where all of you folks take the time to let me know your frustrations. So I understand these are all of the things all of you folks are facing, right? As a part of your struggles in getting responses to your job applications. And what are you left with ultimately, right? Despite all of those steps you've taken, still no responses, right? Or even if you're getting responses, not nearly as much as you'd like. You're spending more time online. You're spending more time customizing your resume, hours and hours and hours, and you're still not getting a return. Like, you're still not able to figure out whether it's even worth spending that time because you're not getting any return on that. You're in a constant state of mystery, right? I mean, applying to jobs online is almost like a mystery at this point, right? You feel like you're Sherlock Holmes and Watson or something, right? You're in a constant state of mystery. You're like, how does this thing even work? Why am I someone with so much talent and skill brought to the table? Why am I still not able to figure out how to apply to jobs online? And what is the whole process? And you don't know how to stand out without a referral, right? You're not getting the referrals, or not getting as many referrals as you'd like. But you can't think of any other way either, right? You can't think of what else you can possibly do to really stand out. So this is where I bring in my 3-step process, right? So this is what's going to be covered in my course, folks, just to give you a heads up, right? And this is my 3-step process for how you should be applying for jobs online in order to get increased responses to your online job applications. And it's a very simple 3-step process. But I don't want you to think, don't think that simple means easy, right? We've all heard that before. Simple does not necessarily mean easy. But these are the 3 steps, right? Step number 1, apply and or identify. Now, I'm just going to quickly speak about what this step is. So what I mean by apply and or identify is in this particular step, I'm addressing both the public job postings and also the hidden job market. Now, the apply part is hey, how do I identify the opportunities out there? The job postings, and how do I identify them? How do I apply for them? Which ones do I apply for? And then I'm going to apply for those opportunities. Now, the second part is identify. Now, identify applies to the public job postings, but also to the hidden job market as well, right? Now, for the public job postings, what I mean by identify is after you apply, you need to now identify potential decision makers, folks, potential hiring managers, potential decision makers that you're going to be reaching out to in the remainder of my process, right? So identify those people. So what's step number one? You apply for the position, you apply for the public job posting, and the second thing is you want to identify potential decision makers who are involved in the hiring process for that position you applied to, right? So that's for public job postings. Now, the second part is identifying the hidden job market. So the second part of this step is how do I identify the hidden job opportunities out there, the hidden job market? That's what they're calling it, right? All those opportunities out there that are not publicly advertised, but are definitely whereby candidates do have opportunities in that part of the market. So that's step one of the process is applying for the job postings publicly, identifying potential decision makers, and also the second part of that is identifying potential hidden job market job opportunities, which is going to help you multiply the number of opportunities on your hand, so you can actually apply, make use of the remainder of the process as well. Now, step number two is direct message, right? So that goes back to what I said before. You have to direct message. So far, we've identified the stakeholders, the decision makers, the hiring managers, the hiring team involved in those public job postings and also the hidden job market. Next step is you want to direct message them, and you got to send a message that's going to be enticing, that's going to get their attention, that's going to showcase your value and get them in communication with you, so that they see you as someone that they want to consider for their organization. And step number three is follow up. So this is where you gotta, go through with your follow-up, right? Because you don't want to depend on just one direct message or two direct messages. So follow-up is what's going to allow you to multiply, all those opportunities whereby you reached out to people, you reached out to decision makers, you reached out to hiring managers, and they haven't responded to your first message or your second message. So how do you follow up over a period of time where you're not being a pest, you're not being annoying, but you're still demonstrating your value? So this is the third step of the process, folks, is follow up, right? So this is my 3-step process. So look, even if you choose not to invest in the program, and by the way, I'm gonna just provide more information about the pricing and all that stuff in the next few slides. But even if you choose not to go with my program, folks, this is the 3-step process you need to be using when you're applying for jobs online, right? So if you're taking notes, I hope you wrote this down. So step number one is apply and or identify. Step number two is direct message. Send a direct message to all potential hiring managers. And step number three is follow up. Do not depend on one or two direct messages to the same person. You want to follow up consistently and over a period of time. So those are the 3 steps, folks. All right. Apply and or identify, direct message, and then finally follow up. Now, how do I come up with this formula, right? Some of you folks might be wondering, Dean, how did you even come up with this? Well, it was back in 2014, right? So back in 2014, I took a break from recruiting and I was working in automotive sales. So from 2010 to 2014, I was in recruitment. I was running my own recruitment business. I wrapped up the recruitment business in 2014 and decided to take a step away from recruiting. So at this time, 2014, I was working in automotive sales and I started, learning more about sales and marketing and prospecting, negotiating, follow up, and all those things. And it hit me, right? It hit me right away, not right away, but eventually just one day it randomly hit me. Hey, you know what? And I had this powerful realization. The job search process needs to be treated like a sales process. So that was the epiphany that I got hit with. That was the major realization that hit me as I was working in this car dealership back in 2014, as I was learning and studying more about sales. I started seeing the similarities, right, between the sales process and how the job search should be conducted. So what happened then is over the next 2 years from then, right, is, I started studying sales with so much intensity, so much obsession. Like even people who know me, knew me were like, dude, you're going crazy. You're a little too intense now, right? But over the next 2 years, what I did is I spent tens of thousands of dollars studying sales, marketing, prospecting, follow-up, negotiating, etc. And like I said, obsessively, right? And what I mean by all these various things is I was experimenting with cold calling, in-person visits, networking, and finally, of course, direct messaging on LinkedIn and emailing as well, right? So all those, those previous strategies I talked about, cold calling, in-person visits, networking, all that other stuff, these are all things that I have personally tried out myself, folks, especially during this 2-year period, but even afterwards as well, right? And it was during the tail end of this 2-year period that I really came to narrowing down my strategy to getting responses for myself by 20%, right? When I started applying my direct messaging strategy, that's when I started seeing results and responses from hiring teams and from hiring managers. So that's kind of like my journey, like how I came across this formula. It was because it was as a result of myself being a job seeker myself, trying to figure this thing out over a period of 2 years, and spending so much money on trying to learn all these tactics and tricks and strategies and all this stuff from sales, marketing, and all that stuff, which finally allow me to land into what I'll be teaching in my course. So what will my course help you achieve? Well, you're going to learn how to stand out among the average of 250 applications for every job posting that's out there, right? A lot of competition out there, especially right now. And the 250 was, pre-COVID, as I mentioned before. So my course is going to help you learn how to stand out and not be just another application sitting there sitting on the ATS and not having anyone take a look at it. The second thing is I'm going to be teaching you insider strategies from the staffing industry, how staffing agencies uncover the hidden job market, which you can apply to your job search, right? If any of you guys have ever wondered, hey, how do these staffing agencies get these opportunities and know about these opportunities before we do? Well, I'm going to be sharing in my course one of the major strategies and a couple of the major strategies staffing agencies use to uncover the hidden job market, which you can apply to uncover those same opportunities and implement my 3-step process, right? And get into direct messaging and all that stuff. The other thing I'm going to teach in my course is the 4 components to an effective direct message, right? Which grabs attention and which has people actually leaning in and getting interested in wanting to get in communication with you, right? A lot of you have already been sending out direct messages to people. You're not getting any responses. It's because you probably are not using the right components to your direct message. An effective direct message, folks, has 4 components, right? So I'm going to be teaching you those 4 components in the program, in the course. That's going to increase your chances of getting attention, keeping their attention, and increasing their chances of wanting to respond to you and getting onto a phone call or getting onto a Zoom call, or maybe even getting an interview right away, right? And the other thing I'm going to be covering is overall what my course is going to help you achieve is increase and generate communication with hiring teams and or recruiters by up to 20%, which will lead to interviews. Now I use 20% because that was the increase in responses I personally achieved. It could be anywhere up to 20% or maybe even more, depending on how well you apply what I'm teaching in the program, right? So this is what my course is going to help you achieve. I'm also going to be teaching you how to follow up correctly, right? The true power and potential of powerful follow-up by understanding the 3 factors required for effective follow-up. Follow-up is not something, like I mentioned before, folks, follow-up is not something where you just write, hey, do you have an update, or have you made a decision, or did you get my email, or did you get my message? Did you review my resume? That's not follow-up. I'm going to be teaching you how to follow up correctly and how to follow up in a way that has the other person actually impressed by you. And in order to do that, I'm going to be teaching you the 3 fundamentals, the 3 factors required for effective follow-up. So learn how to direct message the right way, folks, and increase your response rate by up to 20%. So what do you get with my program? Well, it's a lifetime, anytime, anywhere access program, right? And you can complete the entire course within 3 to 4 hours, right? So it's not a lengthy course. This is not something that's going to take weeks and weeks or months and months for you to learn. You can literally sit down at your computer and complete my entire program within 3 to 4 hours, between 3 to 4 hours, right? And the content itself is a mix of pre-recorded video and reading material that I wrote and I created. So it's a mix. So that way there's some variety there, right? You're not getting bored with just listening to me talk on and on. And after each section, I've included a very brief knowledge test and quiz after each section to make sure you understand the material. Right now, this is not some lengthy quiz or test you got to study for or anything like that. It's mainly multiple choice or true and false questions after each section. And at most, I think the most number of questions I put is like 5 or something like that. So it's nothing to be stressed out about. And finally, folks, it's based on the process that I developed as a job seeker, and right, and I'm mixing in the strategies utilized by staffing agencies to get in communication with hiring teams, right? So it's a mix of my experiences as a job seeker, and I further verified this working in the staffing industry and in the staffing agency. So even after that 2-year period, folks, that I spoke about, where I was trying to figure out this whole process, even after I was employed, I still used to experiment with this process because I was constantly tweaking it, adjusting it, making sure, if something didn't work properly, I played around with it a little bit, tweaked it a bit further, that kind of thing. So even while I was employed, even after I got back into recruiting in 2016, I still continued to, outside of work hours, in my spare time, I used to test out these strategies. So it, I started this as a job seeker, formulated this process as a job seeker, further verified it, and noticed new things as a recruiter, and then further refined it while being employed, and testing out these strategies as well to get myself interviews. So now I'm going to share with you the pricing. All right, the pricing options. Now, I guarantee, folks, like, you're going to love the pricing I'm offering on this, because it's something I wanted to make this as available to as many people as possible, because I know so many of you need help with getting responses to your job applications. So first of all, it's lifetime access, right? So the pricing I have for it today is a one-time access fee, and you get lifetime access. So you can use this right now. You can go through the program, you can finish it, complete it. Let's say you get a job, it can just sit there, and maybe a couple of years from now, you want a job search again, you still have access to the program, right? So it's lifetime access. What else do you get? 2+ hours of video content divided into 15 to 30 minute segments, right? So look, me personally, I'm a guy with a very short attention span, all right? So because of that, I purposely made sure that it wasn't like long, lengthy video. So it's only 15 to 30 minutes per segment. And it's me guiding you through my 3-step process. So there's a total of around 2+ hours video content, right? A little over 2 hours total, but it's not 2 hours in one sitting. It's divided, right? Maybe a 15-minute video here, a half an hour video there, another 18-minute video on the next module. So kind of like that. So that in itself, I'd say at least $500 of value. Now, extensive written theory breaking down the various components further. So also included in each module is reading material that I've developed as well, right? So that's where I'm breaking things down, going into things in a bit more detail, also providing you with further examples and stuff like that. Definitely say that's at least $250 of value right there. Now, other thing is additional resources to help you through the process as well, such as spreadsheets, lists. I think I got some templates there as well. I got some sample follow-up messages, sample direct messages you can send. That in itself, I think I'm being very. I think I'm kind of undervaluing it there. I put $100 in value. I think that in itself is much more than that. But let's say that's $100 value right there, right? Now, also the knowledge test quiz after every section, like I mentioned, to ensure you understand the material. I couldn't think of a dollar value to put on this, but I think that's pretty valuable itself as well, because it makes sure that you're keeping track of and understanding what's being taught after each section. So there's a knowledge test after every section to make sure you understand the information. Now, if you thought that was all I was going to offer, you're wrong, folks. If you've been following me for a while, Dean likes to provide a lot of extra extra goodies and extra support. Now, if you need extra support, because look, I don't want you to feel like I'm putting you on the program, I'm dropping you off at the deep end of the pool and you have no additional support. I definitely want to support you as well, right, through the remainder of the program. So I've also got a private Facebook group community where you can post your questions and make new friends to support each other. That in itself is like $200 of value. So that's a Facebook group community, right? So during the week, you have any questions, you don't understand anything, you can simply post on the private Facebook group. By the way, it's a private group, so it's not visible. Like whatever you post is not publicly visible. Like people who are not part of the group will not see it. So it's a private Facebook group community where you can post your questions and make new friends to support each other, et cetera, right? Now, in addition to that, and this is the next part I'm really excited about. Boom right there, folks. Weekly live group Zoom call with me to ensure you're on track and understand the material. I want to make sure you understand the material. I want to make sure you all your questions are addressed. I want to make sure you're actually going through with the program. I want to hold you accountable. So every week we're going to have a live group Zoom call. It's going to be a group call. All right. I just want to verify that it's not going to be a one-on-one call. It's going to be a group Zoom call where I get to hold you accountable. I get to find out what questions you have about the material. Dean, I don't understand this. Dean, I don't understand how to do this follow-up. Dean, is this a good direct message? Hey, Dean, I'm direct messaging people. They're not getting back to me. What can I do? Dean, how do I identify these hidden opportunities? Dean, how do I, do XYZ? Dean, how do I do anything? Dean's going to be right there, folks. It is not pre-recorded. It's going to be me live in person. No hologram, no Star Wars, Star Trek, beam me up Scotty stuff. It's going to be me live, right? Live. It's going to be a group call, right? I just want to make that clear. It's a group call. So all of you folks are going to be on the same group call. But weekly on Zoom, you will get to interact with me live, right? It's not like these LinkedIn live streams. I still like doing these, but I mostly interact with you folks in the comments, right? But on this, when you sign up for this program, you're going to get on a live weekly Zoom call with me. So I ensure and I make sure you're on track, and we're going to do a full Q&A and stuff like that. So I make sure everyone is on track, all right? And I put that at $1,000 plus value, because if you notice, there's no time frame on that, right? I haven't put 5 weeks of Zoom coaching. No. So what does that mean, folks? That means that this is indefinitely. So as long as you decide to come to these Zooms, or as long as I continue doing these Zooms, you will be able to join in on these Zoom calls, these group Zoom calls, right? So that's at least $1,000 plus of value right there. So this is so that you don't feel alone. You don't feel like you have to jump in the what's it called, the deep end of the pool, and I'm expecting you to swim by yourself. No, every week, it's probably going to be on Mondays. Every week on Mondays, yeah, it's going to be on Mondays. Every week on Mondays, I'm going to have a group Zoom call, and you're going to be able to ask me all your questions, any clarifications. I'm going to be providing, and you know the way I am, I'm probably going to be providing you with new job search tips and special tips and advice as well. And you get to unmute yourself. You can have your camera on, you can have your camera off, and I get to interact with you live and make sure you're on track, you're on the program, you're understanding everything, and I'm there to assist you every step of the way as well, right? And in between, of course, when we're not on the Zoom call, in between, you can post your questions and your comments to the private Facebook group. So I make sure I'm addressing, any questions in between as well. All right. So that's to make sure you have the support that you need. Now, also, you might be thinking, oh, Dean, what if it doesn't work out for me? What if the program doesn't work? What if I don't, it doesn't really work out for me, and it just doesn't make any sense for me? Look, no risk, folks. You get a 30-day money-back guarantee, no questions asked, right? So within 30 days of investing in my program, all you got to do is send me an email. Just be like, hey, Dean, I want to seek a refund. I just don't think the program is working out. No questions asked, folks. I'm not going to try to, pitch you or upsell you or something like that. I'm not going to try to convince you or anything like that. Within 30 days, you let me know if the program doesn't make sense. You don't like it. You don't like the Zoom calls. You don't like the private Facebook group community. You don't like the 3-step process. You don't like the knowledge quiz. You don't like the additional resources. You don't like the theory. You don't like the videos. Just let me know within 30 days. Send me an email. No questions asked. You get a full refund. Total value. So approximately the total value of this is not the price, folks. All right. Don't be alarmed. This is not the price. I'm going to share a stupid price with you right now. The total value of this is approximately $2,000, over $2,000 Canadian, right? That's the total value of all this stuff. And I would say probably even more than this. But I'm not going to make you pay $2,000. I know a lot of you folks are job seekers. You can't afford to spend that kind of money right now. You can't really, be spending thousands and thousands of dollars right now, right? So that's not what this program is going to cost you. So I got a special offer for you folks today, all right? And I'm going to call it Dean's ridiculous price, right? Now, initially I was going to call this Dean's stupid price, because it's a stupid price I'm about to share with you folks. But I realized, I'm multi-streaming on LinkedIn, so I should probably keep this professional, right? So let's call it Dean's ridiculous price. What I'm offering you for all of this, folks, for today, right? And until I keep the pricing at this range, $87.77 Canadian, folks, for all of this. So because I wanted to offer something that I felt was reasonable and affordable for those of you who are job seekers. I want to help you in your job search. I know so many of you, need help in your job search. So I'm offering you all of this for a one-time fee of $87.77 Canadian. It's a ridiculous price for the amount of value that you're getting for what's being offered in the program. I think we got some questions here. Yeah, Roy, I just answered your question. So this is the price, folks, $87.77 Canadian for all of this, right? Because I know so many of you need help. I know so many of you are applying for jobs, applying for opportunities. You're not getting any responses. So I wanted to offer this as a special introductory offer of $87 Canadian, all right? Oh, and if you thought that was it, then you're wrong about that as well, because there's more. There's actually more I want to offer you. You know, Dean likes to go above and beyond, right? If you've been following me here for a while. So look, when you sign up, you get automatically qualified into my new affiliate program, right? So this is the grand announcement of my new affiliate program, and you automatically get qualified if you choose to, only if you want to, folks, right? Because maybe some of you don't want to, be a part of any affiliate programs. That's fine. But when you sign up, you get automatically qualified into my new affiliate program. Now, what does that include? Well, why am I doing this, first of all? Well, firstly, folks, I want to help people all over the world in how they apply to jobs online, but I can't do it alone, right? You folks have access to people. You might know people that I might not know. And I want to help as many people across the world with getting these opportunities and improving how they approach their job search. But I don't want you to do that without being rewarded for that either, without, being rewarded for introducing me to your network and, people that you might know. And for right now, my affiliate program is only for customers, because that's who I want speaking about my program, is people who have used my program and who can confidently say that it's an effective program, right? Those are the people that I want speaking about my program and referring people, because I know that if you experience the successes that you have on my program, you will feel more confident and comfortable with referring people to take the same program as well. So what do I offer is, hey, when you get on my course, experience the success, and if you refer friends, you will get a 25% commission for every referral, right? So even in the future, when I increase the pricing for this particular program, and I definitely will, because it's a ridiculous value for a very low price I'm offering today. If you're a part of my affiliate program, you will get a 25% commission for every referral. So whatever the total cost, if the cost goes up, whatever that is, if you refer someone, if they sign up to the program, I will pay a 25% commission for anyone who's an affiliate who refers someone into this program. All right. So that's my way of thanking you for doing business with me, and thanking you for speaking about my program and its effectiveness with your friends, your network, and people important to you, because I know it's important to you to make sure that you refer people to a product that you believe in, right, or to a platform that you believe in. So again, enrollment is only for customers at this time, folks. All right. Because again, like I said, it's only because I want people promoting my program who have actually used my program, right? Because I don't want to just randomly giving out to people and say, hey, yeah, refer people to me and I'll give you a 25% commission. I want people promoting my program who have actually taken the program itself, because again, that's going to make you feel more confident about doing that, and I want to reward you for doing that as well. So you got kind of two choices at this point, folks, right? And BT, I see your comment there. I'm going to share the link shortly. There's two ways you can go at this, folks, right? You can try and figure this entire process out by yourself, or you can skip that part, right? You can skip that part and allow me to teach you how to do this program. So what's stopping you from investing, folks? If you have any additional questions or concerns which I haven't addressed, I want you to let me know. Send me a direct message or email me at dean@dkglobaltalent.com. So I want to hear from you, right? If there's anything I haven't addressed, if you have any concerns, if you have any questions, I want you to send me a direct message or send me an email. And even if you decide not to invest in my program, folks, I want you to sign up, and I want you to start. I want you to start implementing my direct messaging strategy for the organizations you want to work for, even if you decide not to invest in the program. And here's the link to invest, folks. If you and I want you to grab a hold of it right now. If you feel, yeah, I definitely, this seems like a great offer, and a lot of great value being offered. And if you feel you want to invest in it, this is the link. So go to www.dkglobaltalent.com/get interviews. Again, that's www.dkglobaltalent.com/get-interviews. Sign up right now, folks. It's going to be at that special price. And I look forward to seeing you every Monday on the group Zoom calls. I look forward to seeing you on the Facebook community. You're not in this alone. You don't have to do this alone. I'm here to help you, and guaranteed you're going to make new friends in the program as well. Through the Facebook group, and you're going to be able to directly benefit from my 3-step program. So you're able to get responses, increase your responses in your job search. Right. So that's the link again: www.dkglobaltalent.com/get-interviews. So again, the link's right there. So let's do a quick recap, right, just to make sure everyone's aware of what you're getting when you sign up. You're getting lifetime access to 2+ hours of video content divided into 15 to 30-minute segments, guiding you through the process. You're getting extensive written theory breaking down the various components further. You're getting additional resources to help you through the process, such as spreadsheets, lists, etc., all that stuff. You're getting a knowledge test after every section to ensure you understand the material. You also get extra support. You get access to the private Facebook group community, right? So in between the week, you got questions, you got comments, you're frustrated, you want to vent, you can post anything you want on the private Facebook group. You can make new friends on there as well with fellow job seekers who might be in the same position as you. You also get access to the weekly live group Zoom calls, right? That's with me every Monday, where I ensure you understand the material, right? You're going through the course and the program by yourself. You might have questions. Inevitably, you might have some questions. You might need some clarifications. And also, it's a chance for me to hold you accountable and make sure you're on track, make sure you're understanding the material, and for me to respond to any questions you might have as being part of the program, right? And again, no risk. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee, no questions asked. So if you're not satisfied with the program, just send me an email within 30 days of your purchase, and you get a full refund, no questions asked. And then finally, you also get automatic entry, and you automatically qualify for my affiliate program. Now, this is optional. If you folks don't want to do that, you don't have to do that. But this option is there, right? You automatically qualify to earn referral commissions of 25% for referring others, right? And again, it's because the best people to spread the word on how I can help others is people who have used my products and my services, right? And if you're going to do that, I want to refer you for doing that as well, right? So that's my thank you for you being a customer, a valued customer, and also for you referring people that that you trust into investing in my products and my services as well. All right. So again, if you want to sign up, folks, again, total value is like over $2,000 Canadian at least. My special offer at Dean's ridiculous price today, $87 Canadian, $87.77 Canadian. Sign up for it right away, folks. If you feel this program is the right fit for you, it's gonna help you get through and get those responses to your job applications. If you've been applying to roles, you haven't been getting any responses, my program is going to help you with that through my 3 steps, right? Apply and/or identify. Step number 2, direct message. Step number 3, follow up. I'm going to teach you how to execute on each and every one of those steps effectively, so you're able to increase your responses for your job applications and your job search in general, right? So again, the link is www.dkglobaltalent.com/get-interviews. Now, for those of you who want to get a quick peek at the program, let me just quickly let me share my screen. I'm gonna give you a quick behind the scenes look at the program itself, just in case you're wondering what it might look like. So let me just quickly share my screen again, and let me. All right, so just confirm in the comments, folks, if you can see my screen, and I'm just going to show you the dashboard for my program. So I'll just give it a couple of seconds there, and hopefully it's showing. Just let me know. Just let me know in the comments, folks, when you can see my screen. Yeah, it looks like you can. Okay. So it looks like all is good. So this is what the dashboard looks like, folks, right? So this is all the content. So look at this. So I've broken it down into, so this is the information for the weekly Zoom and private calls are right here. Weekly Zoom and private Facebook group is right here. Affiliate program, if you want to join the affiliate program, the instructions are right there. Then step 1, you got all this content. See, check it out right here. So step one, I got the introduction, and notice you got a quiz after every section, right? So that's to make sure that you're on track with what's being taught in the program. So all this information you got in step one for how to apply and or identify. You got the process for public job postings, going beyond public job postings. That's where I talk about the hidden job market. Step two, direct messaging, creating your list of targets to direct message, how to direct message. What else? How to, and various methods for using direct messaging. Direct message examples, right? Notes for students and new grads. Then you got the follow-up section, the purpose of follow-up, the real purpose of follow-up. You got your follow-up schedule, how often you should follow up. Then I got a 36 weeks follow-up example, how you can follow up over 36 weeks without annoying people, and at the same time keeping a good impression and actually impressing them. Follow-up ideas, transitioning your follow-up. What if they go silent? What if you follow up and they go silent? And also the follow-up recap. So look, it's a jam-packed, information-packed program, folks. Only $87.77 Canadian. Very easy to use dashboard and a whole ton of value. All right. So just wanted to give you folks a sneak peek into that. That's what the program is going to look like. And let me know and again, if you have any questions about the program itself, feel free to let me know. Again, I'm putting the link right up there. Applying to Jobs Online 101, the 3-step process to getting responses from hiring teams. And today's special pricing, what I'm offering is $87.77 Canadian. Probably going to increase the prices soon, folks, because it's just a ridiculous price for the amount of value I'm offering for this program. And if you want to grab it, the link is at www.dkglobaltalent.com/get interviews. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a direct message if I didn't address something that you wanted to ask me about during the program. Sorry, during the presentation. If you have any questions, you have any concerns, feel free to send me a direct message or send me an email. My email is dean@dkglobaltalent.com. For those of you who want to sign up and take advantage of today's special offer, go to www.dkglobaltalent.com/get interviews. All right. Make sure you sign up. I look forward to seeing you on the weekly Zoom calls. All right. So let me see if we have any questions here, and I'll put up the questions. So I'm going to respond to any questions you folks might have right now. So if you have any questions, folks, put it in the comments, and I'm going to get into the questions right now. So Guram Reed, sorry if I pronounced your name incorrectly, my friend, but Guram Reed says, what is the ATS score to qualify? So Guram Reed, for recruiters, there's no real ATS score. There's no such thing. Like recruiters basically, they conduct a keyword search on the ATS, and they simply go through the top resumes that they come across that they want to then, maybe give a phone call to, or the people that they want to reach out to. So there's no score. It's simply a matter of the recruiter does a keyword search. It narrows it down to a more manageable amount of applications. And then the recruiter is like, okay, who do I want to actually reach out to? Who do I actually want to phone call, give a phone call to and discuss this opportunity. So recruiters don't really use a score, Guram Reed. So hope that helps. But thanks for your question. So Ryan says, based on the keyword. Yeah, exactly, Ryan. Right. It's basically based on the keyword. So good additional comment there. So Andre, I know you had a question. How would you message an HR LinkedIn contact? Yeah. So Andre, in my program, I actually teach how to direct message. Basically 2 categories, right? So I call it my 2 tiers in the program, Andre. Tier number 1 is decision makers. You want to go directly to the decision makers, folks, right? Decision makers means actual hiring managers, right? The people actually hiring for the position. If you're so Andre, if you, or whoever else out there, whatever your position is, you want to identify decision makers who are potential hiring managers for whatever role you're aiming for. These are usually people with the title of managers, directors, VPs, maybe sometimes even C-level executives, right? That's tier 1, right? Those are the people you want to primarily go after. And then tier 2 is the HR people, the corporate recruiters, maybe even the third-party staffing agencies as well, right? So I cover how to message these individuals in my program. It's part of my step 2 of my process, which is direct message. And I also provide various examples of sample direct messages you can send to initiate, as well as get communication going from these individuals. So thanks for your question there, Andre. Let's see what other questions we have. So Andre also says, I use LinkedIn personalized invitation, which is frustrating because we have only a few characters to present ourselves. Yeah, exactly, Andre, right? So I actually covered this as well in the program, folks. So one tip for you, Andre, is don't depend on the LinkedIn invitation, right? Use the invitation to increase your chances of getting them to accept your invite. And after that, beyond that point, is when you actually put the actual message where you want to have them consider you for the position or consider you for the role, and et cetera, et cetera. So Andre and everyone else out there, don't pitch yourself in the invitation itself, right? Because the character count is limited. Actually, actually, Andre and everyone else, I covered this in more detail in my program, right? And one of my strategies for direct messaging is sending a LinkedIn invitation invite, and then direct messaging them after they accept the invitation. So don't depend on the invitation, Andre. You're totally right, because there's a limited character amount. So you want to send out an invitation that allows them or increases their chances of accepting, and you want to then send them the direct message about yourself afterwards. So hope that helps, Andre. Thanks for your comment. Before we get to that, Nitin says, great point. Never thought about that. Fahim said, I just missed the first 3 steps. Could you share them here? Well, if it's the strategies you're talking about, Fahim, just watch the replay of this. You should be able to get more information about the first 3 steps. And if you're talking about my 3 steps, the 3 steps are: step number 1 is apply and or identify. Step 2 is direct message. Step 3 is follow up, right? So all 3 of those steps covered in detail in my program, folks. Today, I'm offering it for $87.77 Canadian, very reasonable price. So check out more information. You can go to my website, www.dkglobaltalent.com/get interviews. All right. So any more questions? Let's see here. So Kieran says, won't you make one video about strategies to penetrate the hidden job market, Dean? Yeah, Kieran, this is a great topic. I definitely will be putting out more videos about that in the future. And I put videos in previously in the past as well, Kieran. So feel free to go through my YouTube videos and stuff like that. But one avenue you can use for sure, folks, is building strong relationships with staffing agencies. Staffing agencies, a lot of times, have access to great opportunities that are in the hidden job market. And now how they come across those hidden job opportunities is a strategy that I talk about in my program. And I actually talk about that program, and it's something I talk about that strategy. And you can actually utilize that same strategy staffing agencies do to uncover the hidden job market to your job search as well. All right. But if nothing else, Kieran, staffing agencies, great avenue to use for accessing the hidden job market. BT says, sign me up, please, right away. Hey, BT, if you did sign up, I definitely look forward to having you on the program, BT. Definitely look forward to having you there. Yeah, I know it's folks, I'm offering a lot of value for this program. Please, if you have any doubts, any questions, I don't want you to miss out on this program. Send me a direct message if you have any doubts, any questions, any concerns. No such thing as a stupid doubt or concern or question, folks. Send me a direct message or send me an email at dean@dkglobaltalent.com. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. I want you on this program, right? Most of you folks are struggling with this in your job search. You're applying for jobs. You're not getting any responses. My program, my 3-step process: apply and or identify, direct message, follow up. I'm going to teach you each and every one of those steps in detail, so you can increase your chances for getting responses when you apply to jobs online, because you're not going to be depending on your resume. You're not going to be depending on your LinkedIn profile. I'm going to be showing you that proactive step, right, which is direct messaging and follow up, in order to get yourself those responses from hiring teams. All right. Roya says, thanks for posting the values. On the other side, what would be our cost? Yeah, so Roya, you probably already seen the price, the cost, but $87.77, folks. $87 Canadian. It's Canadian dollars, right? For my American or Australian friends who might be tuning in, it is $87.77. All right. So hey folks, I tried to make this as much of a no-brainer for you folks as possible. I tried to make this as low risk, high value as possible for you folks. All right. So if you have any further doubts or questions or concerns, just let me know. Just let me know. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. All right. BT says, absolutely. Thanks a bunch. Thanks a bunch, Dean, for the great support you're extending out for all of us. Hey, no worries, BT. Definitely appreciate your continued support and appreciate that. How do I sign up? Yeah, so BT, it's at this website, www.dkglobaltalent.com/get interviews. So you can access the special pricing for this course, folks. And Roya says, thanks, Dean. It appears a great program you've put together. Hey, thanks, Roya. I appreciate that. And if you're joining the program, hope to see you on there, Roya. So it looks like that's all the questions and all, folks. So look, visit this website. It has more details about the program, and you can actually purchase the program at this link. Again, it's www.dkglobaltalent.com/get interviews. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining in and sharing your thoughts and your comments and your questions and all that stuff. For those of you who are signing up, I look forward to seeing you on the program. So it looks like, hey, BT, you signed up. Awesome. Fantastic, BT. I definitely look forward to seeing you on the program. And looking forward to seeing you, BT, on the Zoom calls on Mondays. It's going to be on Mondays. So look forward to seeing you there. Anyone else who signed up, look forward to seeing you there on there as well. And if you have any questions, folks, send me a direct message or send me a email, dean@dkglobaltalent.com for any questions you have. All right. So, hey, wish everyone the best for the remainder of the week. Hope everyone has a fantastic week. It looks like Roya signed up as well. Hey, Roya, happy to hear that, and fantastic. Look forward to seeing you on the Zoom calls, Roya, and seeing you on the private Facebook group. Look forward to guiding you, Roya, as well as BT for this program as well. And Roya, I do see your message about the membership for the Facebook group. So I will approve the membership shortly. All right. So thanks so much, folks. Thanks so much, everyone. Hey, anyone who invested, congratulations. So congratulations to Roya. Congratulations to BT as well. Look forward to seeing both of you on the program and on the Zooms. And hey, anyone else has any questions, feel free to let me know. Again, link again, folks, www.dkglobaltalent.com/get interviews. Look forward to seeing you folks on the program, on the Zoom calls, on the Facebook community. And feel free to let me know. Roy says DM at LinkedIn. Yeah. So Roy, if you have, if anyone who has any questions about the program, send me a direct message on LinkedIn. Right? If you're not sure about the program, you have any questions or concerns, feel free to let me know. And for those of you in the program, so Roya, for those of you in the program, you should have. So in the program, it'll have my contact information, like. My email address, as well as all of that stuff, and just for joining the Facebook group, Roya, just follow the instructions, and I'll approve the Facebook group, a membership approval shortly. All right. So any questions, feel free to let me know. So hey, look, I hope this session was helpful, folks. For those of you who need help, you need the support, make sure you sign up for the program. I look forward to seeing you there. And any other questions for anyone else who wants more details about the program, feel free to send me a direct message or send me an email, dean@dkglobaltalent.com. I'm losing my voice at this point, folks. All right. So I'm going to end the session, but thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. And look forward to seeing everyone on the program and on the Zoom calls and on the private Facebook group community. Thanks so much, everyone. Everyone have a fantastic day.